The Simpsons is an American animated sitcom created by Matt Groening for the Fox Broadcasting Company. The series is a satirical depiction of working-class life, epitomized by the Simpson family, which consists of Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. The show is set in the fictional town of Springfield and parodies American culture and society, television, and the human condition. The family was conceived by Groening shortly before solicitation for a series of animated shorts with producer James L. Brooks. Groening created a dysfunctional family and named the characters after his own family members, substituting Bart for his own name. The shorts became a part of The Tracey Ullman Show on April 19, 1987. After 3 seasons, the sketch was developed into a half-hour primetime show and became Fox's first series to land in the top 30 ratings in a season, 1989-90. Since its debut on December 17, 1989, 666 episodes of The Simpsons have been broadcast. It is the longest-running American sitcom, and the longest-running American scripted primetime television series, both in terms of seasons and number of episodes. The Simpsons Movie, a feature-length film, was released in theaters worldwide on July 27, 2007, and grossed over $527 million. Then on October 30, 2007, a video game was released. Currently, The Simpsons finished airing its 30th season, which began airing September 30, 2018. The Simpsons was renewed for a 31st and 32nd season on February 6, 2019, in which the latter will contain the 700th episode. The Simpsons is a joint production by Gracie Films and 20th Century Fox Television and syndicated by 20th Television. The Simpsons received acclaim throughout its first 9 or 10 seasons, which are generally considered its golden age. Time named it the 20th Century's best television series, and Eric Adams of the AAV Club named it television's crowning achievement regardless of format. On January 14, 2000, The Simpson family was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It has won dozens of awards since it debuted as a series, including 34 Primetime Emmy Awards, 30 Annie Awards, and a Peabody Award. Homer's exclamatory catchphrase "No" has been adopted into the English language, while The Simpsons has influenced many other later adult-oriented animated sitcoms. However, it has also been criticized for a perceived decline in quality over the years. Premise. Characters. The Simpsons is known for its wide ensemble of main and supporting characters. The main characters are the Simpson family, who live in a fictional Middle America town of Springfield. Homer, the father, works as a safety inspector at the Springfield nuclear power plant, a position at odds with his careless, buffoonish personality. He is married to Marge Bouvier, a stereotypical American housewife and mother. They have 3 children: Bart, a 10-year-old troublemaker and prankster; Lisa, a precocious 8-year-old activist; and Maggie, the baby of the family who rarely speaks, but communicates by sucking on a pacifier. Although the family is dysfunctional, many episodes examine their relationships and bonds with each other, and they are often shown to care about one another. Homer's dad, Grandpa Simpson, lives in the Springfield retirement home after Homer forced his dad to sell his house so that his family could buy theirs. Grandpa Simpson has had starring roles in several episodes. The family also owns a dog, Santa's Little Helper, and a cat, Snowball V, renamed Snowball to an annoyed gruntbot. Both pets have had starring roles in several episodes. The show includes an array of quirky supporting characters, which include Homer's co-workers, also friends, Lenny Leonard and Carl Carlson, the school principal Seymour Skinner, and teachers Edna Krabappel and Elizabeth Hoover, neighbor Ned Flanders, friends Barney Gumble, Apinasapi Mapitylon, Mos Zeislock, Milhouse Van Houten, and Nelson Muntz, extended relatives Patty and Selma Bouvier, townspeople such as Mayor Quimby, Chief Clancy Wiggum, Tycoon Charles Montgomery Burns and his executive assistant Waylon Smithers, and local celebrities Krusty the Clown and news reporter Kent Brockman. The creators originally intended many of these characters as one-time jokes or for fulfilling needed functions in the town. A number of them have gained expanded roles and subsequently starred in their own episodes. According to Matt Groening, the show adopted the concept of a large supporting cast from the comedy show SCTV. Continuity in the floating timeline. Despite the depiction of yearly milestones such as holidays or birthdays passing, the characters do not age between episodes, either physically or in stated age, and generally appear just as they did when the series began. The series uses a floating timeline in which episodes generally take place in the year the episode is produced even though the characters did not age. Flashbacks and flash-forwards do occasionally depict the characters at other points in their lives, with the timeline of these depictions also generally floating relative to the year the episode is produced. For example, in the 1991 episode I Married Marge, Bart, who is always 10 years old, appears to be born in 1980 or 1981. But in the 1995 episode And Maggie Makes Three, Maggie, who always appears to be around 1 year old, appears to be born in 1993 or 1994. A canon of the show does exist, although Treehouse of Horror episodes and any fictional story told within the series are typically non-canon. However, continuity is inconsistent and limited in The Simpsons. For example, Krusty the Clown may be able to read in one episode, but may not be able to read in another. Lessons learned by the family in one episode may be forgotten in the next. Some examples of limited continuity include Sideshow Bob's appearances where Bart and Lisa flashback at all the crimes he committed in Springfield, or when the characters try to remember things that happened in previous episodes. Setting. The Simpsons takes place in the fictional American town of Springfield in an unknown and impossible to determine U.S. state. The show is intentionally evasive in regard to Springfield's location. Springfield's geography, and that of its surroundings, contains coastlines, deserts, vast farmland, tall mountains, or whatever the story or joke requires. Groening has said that Springfield has much in common with Portland, Oregon, the city where he grew up. The name Springfield is a common one in America and appears in at least 29 states. Groening has said that he named it after Springfield, Oregon, and the fictitious Springfield which was the setting of the series Father Knows Best. He figured out that Springfield was one of the most common names for a city in the US in anticipation of the success of the show. I thought, this will be cool, everyone will think it's their Springfield. And they do. Production. Development. When producer James L. Brooks was working on the television variety show The Tracey Ullman Show, he decided to include small animated sketches before and after the commercial breaks. Having seen one of cartoonist Matt Groening's Life in Hell comic strips, Brooks asked Groening to pitch an idea for a series of animated shorts. Groening initially intended to present an animated version of his Life in Hell series. However, Groening later realized that animating Life in Hell would require the rescinding of publication rights for his life's work. He therefore chose another approach while waiting in the lobby of Brooks's office for the pitch meeting, hurriedly formulating his version of a dysfunctional family that became The Simpsons. He named the characters after his own family members, substituting Bart for his own name, adopting an anagram of the word breadth. The Simpson family first appeared as shorts in The Tracey Ullman Show on April 19, 1987. Groening submitted only basic sketches to the animators and assumed that the figures would be cleaned up in production. However, the animators merely retraced his drawings, which led to the crude appearance of the characters in the initial shorts. The animation was produced domestically at Classic Zippo, with Wes Archer, David Silverman, and Bill Kopp being animators for the first season. Colorist Georgi Belus was the person who decided to make the characters yellow. In 1989, a team of production companies adapted The Simpsons into a half-hour series for the Fox Broadcasting Company. The team included the Classic Zippo Animation House. Brooks negotiated a provision in their contract with the Fox network that prevented Fox from interfering with the show's content. Groening said his goal in creating the show was to offer the audience an alternative to what he called the mainstream trash that they were watching. The half-hour series premiered on December 17, 1989, with Simpsons roasting on an open fire. Some Enchanted Evening was the first full-length episode produced, but it did not broadcast until May 1990, as the last episode of the first season, because of animation problems. In 1992, Tracey Ullman filed a lawsuit against Fox, claiming that her show was the source of the series' success. The suit said she should receive a share of the profits of The Simpsons, a claim rejected by the courts. Executive producers and showrunners. Matt Groening and James L. Brooks have served as executive producers during the show's entire history, and also function as creative consultants. Sam Simon, described by former Simpsons director Brad Bird as the unsung hero of the show, served as creative supervisor for the first 4 seasons. He was constantly at odds with Groening, Brooks and the show's production company Gracie Films and left in 1993. Before leaving, he negotiated a deal that sees him receive a share of the profits every year, and an executive producer credit despite not having worked on the show since 1993, at least until his passing in 2015. A more involved position on the show is the showrunner, who acts as head writer and manages the show's production for an entire season. Writing. The first team of writers, assembled by Sam Simon, consisted of John Swartzwelder, John Vitti, George Meyer, Jeff Martin, Al Jean, Mike Rice, Jay Kogan, and Wallace Wolodarski. Newer Simpsons writing teams typically consist of 16 writers who propose episode ideas at the beginning of each December. The main writer of each episode writes the first draft. Group rewriting sessions develop final scripts by adding or removing jokes, inserting scenes, and calling for rereadings of lines by the show's vocal performers. Until 2004, George Meyer, who had developed the show since the first season, was active in these sessions. According to longtime writer John Vitti, Meyer usually invented the best lines in a given episode, even though other writers may receive script credits. Each episode takes 6 months to produce, so the show rarely comments on current events. Credited with 60 episodes, John Swartzwelder is the most prolific writer on The Simpsons. One of the best-known former writers is Conan O'Brien, who contributed to several episodes in the early 1990s before replacing David Letterman as host of the talk show Late Night. English comedian Ricky Gervais wrote the episode Homer Simpson, This Is Your Wife, becoming the first celebrity to both write and guest star in the same episode. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, writers of the film Superbad, wrote the episode Homer the Whopper, with Rogen voicing a character in it. At the end of 2007, the writers of The Simpsons went on strike together with the other members of the Writers Guild of America, East. The show's writers had joined the guild in 1998. Voice actors. The Simpsons has 6 main cast members: Dan Castellaneta, Julie Kavner, Nancy Cartwright, Yeardley Smith, Hank Azaria, and Harry Shearer. Castellaneta voices Homer Simpson, Grandpa Simpson, Krusty the Clown, Groundskeeper Willie, Mayor Quimby, Barney Gumble, and other adult, male characters. Julie Kavner voices Marge Simpson and Patty and Selma, as well as several minor characters. Castellaneta and Kavner had been a part of the Tracey Ullman Show cast and were given the parts so that new actors would not be needed. Cartwright voices Bart Simpson, Nelson Muntz, Ralph Wiggum and other children. Smith, the voice of Lisa Simpson, is the only cast member who regularly voices only one character, although she occasionally plays other episodic characters. The producers decided to hold casting for the roles of Bart and Lisa. Smith had initially been asked to audition for the role of Bart, but casting director Benita Pitila believed her voice was too high, so she was given the role of Lisa instead. Cartwright was originally brought in to voice Lisa, but upon arriving at the audition, she found that Lisa was simply described as the middle child and at the time did not have much personality. Cartwright became more interested in the role of Bart, who was described as devious, underachieving, school-hating, irreverent, and clever. Groening let her try out for the part instead, and upon hearing her read, gave her the job on the spot. Cartwright is the only one of the 6 main Simpsons cast members who had been professionally trained in voice acting prior to working on the show. Azaria and Shearer do not voice members of the title family, but play a majority of the male townspeople. Azaria, who has been a part of The Simpsons' regular voice cast since the second season, voices recurring characters such as Mos Eisley, Chief Wiggum, Abinasopimapitylon, and Professor Frink. Shira provides voices for Mr. Burns, Mr. Smithers, Principal Skinner, Ned Flanders, Reverend Lovejoy and Dr. Hibbert. Every main cast member has won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Voiceover Performance. With one exception, episode credits list only the voice actors, and not the characters they voice. Both Fox and the production crew wanted to keep their identities secret during the early seasons and, therefore, closed most of the recording sessions while refusing to publish photos of the recording artists. However, the network eventually revealed which roles each actor performed in the episode Old Money, because the producers said the voice actors should receive credit for their work. In 2003, the cast appeared in an episode of Inside the Actors Studio, doing live performances of their characters' voices. The 6 main actors were paid $30,000 per episode until 1998, when they were involved in a pay dispute with Fox. The company threatened to replace them with new actors, even going as far as preparing for casting of new voices, but series creator Groening supported the actors in their action. The issue was soon resolved and, from 1998 to 2004, they were paid $125,000 per episode. The show's revenue continued to rise through syndication and DVD sales, and in April 2004 the main cast stopped appearing for script readings, demanding they be paid $360,000 per episode. The strike was resolved a month later and their salaries were increased to something between $250,000 and $360,000 per episode. In 2008, production for the 20th season was put on hold due to new contract negotiations with the voice actors, who wanted a healthy bump in salary to an amount close to $500,000 per episode. The negotiations were soon completed, and the actor's salary was raised to $400,000 per episode. 3 years later, with Fox threatening to cancel the series unless production costs were cut, the cast members accepted a 30% pay cut, down to just over $300,000 per episode. In addition to the main cast, Pamela Hayden, Tress MacNeille, Marsha Wallace, Maggie Roswell, and Russi Taylor voiced supporting characters. From 1999 to 2002, Roswell's characters were voiced by Marcia Mitzman-Gavin. Carl Wiedergott has also appeared in minor roles, but does not voice any recurring characters. Wiedergott left the show in 2010, and since then Chris Edgerly has appeared regularly to voice minor characters. Repeat special guest cast members include Albert Brooks, Phil Hartman, John Lovitz, Joe Mantegna, Maurice LaMarche, and Kelsey Grammer. Following Hartman's death in 1998, the characters he voiced, Troy McClure and Lionel Hutz, were retired. Wallace's character of Edna Krabappel was retired as well after her death in 2013. Episodes will quite often feature guest voices from a wide range of professions, including actors, athletes, authors, bands, musicians and scientists. In the earlier seasons, most of the guest stars voiced characters, but eventually more started appearing as themselves. Tony Bennett was the first guest star to appear as himself, appearing briefly in the season 2 episode Dancin' Homer. The Simpsons holds the world record for most guest stars featured in a television series. The Simpsons has been dubbed into several other languages, including Japanese, German, Spanish, and Portuguese. It is also one of the few programs dubbed in both Standard French and Quebec French. The show has been broadcast in Arabic, but due to Islamic customs, numerous aspects of the show have been changed. For example, Homer drinks soda instead of beer and eats Egyptian beef sausages instead of hot dogs. Because of such changes, the Arabized version of the series met with a negative reaction from the lifelong Simpsons fans in the area. Animation. Several different U.S. and international studios animate The Simpsons. Throughout the run of the animated shorts on The Tracey Ullman Show, the animation was produced domestically at Classic Expo. With the debut of the series, because of an increased workload, Fox subcontracted production to several local and foreign studios. These are Com, Animavision, Rough Draft Studios, US Animation, and Chinzone Entertainment. For the first 3 seasons, Klasky Csupo animated The Simpsons in the United States. In 1992, the show's production company, Gracie Films, switched domestic production to Film Roman, who continued to animate the show until 2016. In season 14, production switched from traditional cel animation to digital ink and paint. The first episode to experiment with digital coloring was Radioactive Man in 1995. Animators used digital ink and paint during production of the season 12 episode Tinnis the Menace, but Gracie Films delayed the regular use of digital ink and paint until 2 seasons later. The already completed Tinnis the Menace was broadcast as made. The production staff at the U.S. animation studio, Film Roman, draws storyboards, designs new characters, backgrounds, props and draws character and background layouts, which in turn become animatics to be screened for the writers at Gracie Films for any changes to be made before the work is shipped overseas. The overseas studios then draw the in-betweens, ink and paint, and render the animation to tape before it is shipped back to the United States to be delivered to Fox 3 to 4 months later. The series began high-definition production in season 20. The first episode, Take My Life, Please, aired February 15, 2009. The move to HDTV included a new opening sequence. Matt Groening called it a complicated change because it affected the timing and composition of animation. Themes. The Simpsons uses the standard setup of a situational comedy, or sitcom, as its premise. The series centers on a family and their life in a typical American town, serving as a satirical parody of a middle-class American lifestyle. However, because of its animated nature, The Simpsons' scope is larger than that of a regular sitcom. The town of Springfield acts as a complete universe in which characters can explore the issues faced by modern society. By having Homer work in a nuclear power plant, the show can comment on the state of the environment. Through Bart and Lisa's days at Springfield Elementary School, the show's writers illustrate pressing or controversial issues in the field of education. The town features a vast array of media channels, from kids' television programming to local news, which enables the producers to make jokes about themselves and the entertainment industry. Some commentators say the show is political in nature and susceptible to a left-wing bias. Al Jean acknowledged in an interview that we, the show, are of liberal bent. The writers often evince an appreciation for liberal ideals, but the show makes jokes across the political spectrum. The show portrays government and large corporations as callous entities that take advantage of the common worker. Thus, the writers often portray authority figures in an unflattering or negative light. In The Simpsons, politicians are corrupt, ministers such as Reverend Lovejoy are indifferent to churchgoers, and the local police force is incompetent. Religion also figures as a recurring theme. In times of crisis, the family often turns to God, and the show has dealt with most of the major religions. Hallmarks. Opening sequence. The Simpsons opening sequence is one of the show's most memorable hallmarks. The standard opening has gone through 3 iterations, a replacement of some shots at the start of the second season, and a brand new sequence when the show switched to high definition in 2009. Each has the same basic sequence of events. The camera zooms through cumulus clouds, through the show's title towards the town of Springfield. The camera then follows the members of the family on their way home. Upon entering their house, the Simpsons settle down on their couch to watch television. The original opening was created by David Silverman, and was the first task he did when production began on the show. The series' distinctive theme song was composed by musician Danny Elfman in 1989, after Groening approached him requesting a retro-style piece. This piece has been noted by Elfman as the most popular of his career. One of the most distinctive aspects of the opening is that 3 of its elements change from episode to episode. Bart writes different things on the school chalkboard, Lisa plays different solos on her saxophone, or occasionally a different instrument, and different gags accompany the family as they enter their living room to sit on the couch. Halloween episodes. The special Halloween episode has become an annual tradition. Treehouse of Horror first broadcast in 1990 as part of Season 2 and established the pattern of 3 separate, self-contained stories in each Halloween episode. These pieces usually involve the family in some horror, science fiction, or supernatural setting and often parody or pay homage to a famous piece of work in those genres. They always take place outside the normal continuity of the show. Although the Treehouse series is meant to be seen on Halloween, this changed by the 2000s, when new installments have premiered after Halloween due to Fox's current contract with Major League Baseball's World Series. However, since 2011, every Treehouse of Horror episode has aired in October. Humor. The show's humor turns on cultural references that cover a wide spectrum of society so that viewers from all generations can enjoy the show. Such references, for example, come from movies, television, music, literature, science, and history. The animators also regularly add jokes or sight gags into the show's background via humorous or incongruous bits of text in signs, newspapers, billboards, and elsewhere. The audience may often not notice the visual jokes in a single viewing. Some are so fleeting that they become apparent only by pausing a video recording of the show or viewing it in slow motion. Kristen Thompson argues that The Simpsons uses a flurry of cultural references, intentionally inconsistent characterization, and considerable self-reflexivity about television conventions and the status of the program as a television show. One of Bart's early hallmarks was his prank calls to Moe's Tavern owner Mos Zeislock, in which Bart calls Moe and asks for a gag name. Moe tries to find that person in the bar, but soon realizes it is a prank call and angrily threatens Bart. These calls were apparently based on a series of prank calls known as the Tube Bar recordings, though Groening has denied any causal connection. Moe was based partly on Tube Bar owner Louis Red Deutsch, whose often profane responses inspired Moe's violent side. As the series progressed, it became more difficult for the writers to come up with a fake name and to write Moe's angry response, and the pranks were dropped as a regular joke during the 4th season. The Simpsons also often include self-referential humor. The most common form is jokes about Fox Broadcasting. For example, the episode She Used to Be My Girl included a scene in which a Fox News Channel van drove down the street while displaying a large Bush Cheney 2004 banner and playing Queen's We Are the Champions, in reference to the 2004 U.S. presidential election and claims of conservative bias in Fox News. The show uses catchphrases, and most of the primary and secondary characters have at least one each. Notable expressions include Homer's annoyed grunt "No," Mr. Burns' excellent, and Nelson Muntz's ha-ha. Some of Bart's catchphrases, such as inverted exclamation mark "Hey, caramba, don't have a cow, man," and "Eat my shorts," appeared on t-shirts in the show's early days. However, Bart rarely used the latter two phrases until after they became popular through the merchandising. The use of many of these catchphrases has declined in recent seasons. The episode Bart Gets Famous mocks catchphrase-based humor, as Bart achieves fame on the Krusty the Clown show solely for saying "I didn't do it." Foreshadowing of actual events. The Simpsons has gained notoriety for jokes that eventually became reality. Perhaps the most famous example comes from the episode Bart to the Future, which mentions billionaire Donald Trump having been president of the United States at one time and leaving the nation broke. The episode first aired in 2000, 16 years before Trump was elected. Another episode, When You Dish Upon a Star, lampooned 20th Century Fox as a division of the Walt Disney Company. 19 years later, Disney purchased Fox. Other examples of The Simpsons predicting the future include the introduction of the smartwatch, video chat services, auto correction technology, and Lady Gaga's acrobatic performance at the Super Bowl halftime show. Influence and legacy. Idioms. A number of neologisms that originated on The Simpsons have entered popular vernacular. Mark Lieberman, director of the Linguistic Data Consortium, remarked, "The Simpsons has apparently taken over from Shakespeare and the Bible as our culture's greatest source of idioms, catchphrases and sundry other textual allusions. The most famous catchphrase is Homer's annoyed grunt, "Doh." So ubiquitous is the expression that it is now listed in the Oxford English Dictionary, but without the apostrophe. Dan Castellaneta says he borrowed the phrase from James Finlayson, an actor in many Laurel and Hardy comedies, who pronounced it in a more elongated and whining tone. The staff of The Simpsons told Castellaneta to shorten the noise, and it went on to become the well-known exclamation in the television series. Groundskeeper Willie's description of the franchise cheese-eating surrender monkeys was used by National Review columnist Jonah Goldberg in 2003, after France's opposition to the proposed invasion of Iraq. The phrase quickly spread to other journalists. Cromulent and ambigen, words used in Lisa the Iconoclast, have since appeared in the Dictionary.com's 21st Century Lexicon, and scientific journals respectively. Quijibo, a fake Scrabble word invented by Bart and Bart the Genius, was used as one of the aliases of the creator of the Melissa worm. I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords, was used by Kent Brockman in Deep Space Homer and has become a common phrase. Variants of Brockman's utterance are used to express obsequious submission. It has been used in media, such as New Scientist magazine. The dismissive term may, believed to have been popularized by the show, entered the Collins English Dictionary in 2008. Other words credited as stemming from the show include link and craptacular. The Oxford Dictionary of Modern Quotations includes several quotations from the show. As well as cheese-eating surrender monkeys, Homer's lines, "Kids, you tried your best and you failed miserably. The lesson is never try," from Burns Air, Season 5, 1994, as well as "Kids are the best, Apu. You can teach them to hate the things you hate. And they practically raise themselves, what with the internet and all," from 8 Misbehavin', Season 11, 1999, entered the dictionary in August 2007. Many quotes, scenes have become popular internet memes, including Jasper Beardley's quote "That's a paddlin' from the PTA disbands," Season 6, 1995, and steamed hams from 22 short films about Springfield, Season 7, 1996. Television. The Simpsons was the first successful animated program in American primetime since Wait Till Your Father Gets Home in the 1970s. During most of the 1980s, U.S. pundits considered animated shows as appropriate only for children, and animating a show was too expensive to achieve a quality suitable for primetime television. The Simpsons changed this perception, initially leading to a short period where networks attempted to recreate primetime cartoon success with shows like Capital Critters, Fishbullies, and Family Dog, which were expensive and unsuccessful. The Simpsons' use of Korean animation studios for tweening, coloring, and filming made the episodes cheaper. The success of The Simpsons and the lower production cost prompted U.S. television networks to take chances on other adult animated series. This development led U.S. producers to a 1990s boom in new, animated primetime shows for adults, such as Beavis and Butthead, South Park, Family Guy, King of the Hill, Futurama, and The Critic. For Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane, The Simpsons created an audience for primetime animation that had not been there for many years. As far as I'm concerned, they basically reinvented the wheel. They created what is in many ways, you could classify it as, a wholly new medium. The Simpsons has had crossovers with 4 other shows. In the episode A Star is Burns, Marge invites Jay Sherman, the main character of The Critic, to be a judge for a film festival in Springfield. Matt Groening had his name removed from the episode since he had no involvement with The Critic. South Park later paid homage to The Simpsons with the episode Simpsons Already Did It. In Simpsorama, the Planet Express crew from Futurama come to Springfield in the present to prevent The Simpsons from destroying the future. In the Family Guy episode The Simpsons Guy, the Griffins visit Springfield and meet The Simpsons. The Simpsons has also influenced live-action shows like Malcolm in the Middle, which featured the use of sight gags and did not use a laugh track unlike most sitcoms. Malcolm in the Middle debuted January 9, 2000, in the time slot after The Simpsons. Ricky Gervais called The Simpsons an influence on The Office, and fellow British sitcom Spaced was, according to its director Edgar Wright, an attempt to do a live-action The Simpsons. In Georgia, the animated television sitcom The Samsonetses, launched in November 2009, has been noted for its very strong resemblance with The Simpsons, which its creator Shalva Ramishvili has acknowledged. Reception and achievements. Early success. The Simpsons was the Fox network's first television series to rank among a season's top 30 highest-rated shows. In 1990, Bart quickly became one of the most popular characters on television in what was termed Bartmania. He became the most prevalent Simpsons character on memorabilia, such as t-shirts. In the early 1990s, millions of t-shirts featuring Bart were sold, as many as 1 million were sold on some days. Believing Bart to be a bad role model, several American public schools banned t-shirts featuring Bart next to captions such as "I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you?" and "Underachiever, and proud of it, man." The Simpsons merchandise sold well and generated $2 billion in revenue during the first 14 months of sales. Because of his popularity, Bart was often the most promoted member of the Simpson family in advertisements for the show, even for episodes in which he was not involved in the main plot. Due to the show's success, over the summer of 1990 the Fox network decided to switch The Simpsons time slot from 8 p.m. ET on Sunday night to the same time on Thursday, where it competed with The Cosby Show on NBC, the number one show at the time. Through the summer, several news outlets published stories about the supposed Bill vs. Bart rivalry. Bart Gets an F, Season 2, 1990, was the first episode to air against The Cosby Show, and it received lower Nielsen ratings, tying for 8th behind The Cosby Show, which had an 18.5 rating. The rating is based on the number of household televisions that were tuned into the show, but Nielsen Media Research estimated that 33.6 million viewers watched the episode, making it the number one show in terms of actual viewers that week. At the time, it was the most watched episode in the history of the Fox network, and it is still the highest rated episode in the history of The Simpsons. The show moved back to its Sunday slot in 1994 and has remained there ever since. The Simpsons has received overwhelmingly positive reviews from critics, and it has been noted for being described as the most irreverent and unapologetic show on the air. In a 1990 review of the show, Ken Tucker of Entertainment Weekly described it as the American family at its most complicated, drawn as simple cartoons. It's this neat paradox that makes millions of people turn away from the three big networks on Sunday nights to concentrate on The Simpsons. Tucker also described the show as a pop cultural phenomenon, a primetime cartoon show that appeals to the entire family. Run-length achievements. On February 9, 1997, The Simpsons surpassed The Flintstones with the episode The Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie Show as the longest-running primetime animated series in the United States. In 2004, The Simpsons replaced The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, 1952 to 1966, as the longest-running sitcom, animated or live-action, in the United States. In 2009, The Simpsons surpassed The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet's record of 435 episodes and is now recognized by Guinness World Records as the world's longest-running sitcom, in terms of episode count. In October 2004, Scooby-Doo briefly overtook The Simpsons as the American animated show with the highest number of episodes, albeit under several different iterations. However, network executives in April 2005 again canceled Scooby-Doo, which finished with 371 episodes, and The Simpsons reclaimed the title with 378 episodes at the end of their 17th season. In May 2007, The Simpsons reached their 400th episode at the end of the 18th season. While The Simpsons has the record for the number of episodes by an American animated show, other animated series have surpassed The Simpsons. For example, the Japanese anime series Suzy-san has over 7,000 episodes to its credit. In 2009, Fox began a year-long celebration of the show titled Best 20 Years Ever, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the premiere of The Simpsons. One of the first parts of the celebration is the Unleash Your Yellow contest, in which entrants must design a poster for the show. The celebration ended on January 10, 2010, almost 20 years after Bart the Genius aired on January 14, 1990, with The Simpsons' 20th anniversary special, in 3D. On Ice, a documentary special by documentary filmmaker Morgan Spurlock that examines the cultural phenomenon of The Simpsons. As of the 21st season, 2009 to 2010, The Simpsons became the longest-running American scripted primetime television series, having surpassed the 1955 to 1975 run of Gunsmoke. On April 29, 2018, The Simpsons also surpassed Gunsmoke's 635-episode count with the episode Forgive and Regret. On February 6, 2019, it was announced that The Simpsons has been renewed for seasons 31 and 32. Awards and accolades. The Simpsons has won dozens of awards since it debuted as a series, including 31 Primetime Emmy Awards, 30 Annie Awards and a Peabody Award. In a 1999 issue celebrating the 20th century's greatest achievements in arts and entertainment, Time magazine named The Simpsons the century's best television series. In that same issue, Time included Bart Simpson in the Time 100, the publication's list of the century's 100 most influential people. Bart was the only fictional character on the list. On January 14, 2000, The Simpsons were awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Also in 2000, Entertainment Weekly magazine TV critic Ken Tucker named The Simpsons the greatest television show of the 1990s. Furthermore, viewers of the UK television channel Channel 4 have voted The Simpsons at the top of two polls, 2001's 100 Greatest Kids TV Shows, and 2005's The 100 Greatest Cartoons, with Homer Simpson voted into first place in 2001's 100 Greatest TV Characters. Homer also placed ninth on Entertainment Weekly's list of the 50 greatest TV icons. In 2002, The Simpsons ranked number 8 on TV Guide's 50 greatest TV shows of all time, and was ranked the number 6 cult show in 2004. In 2007, it moved to number 8 on TV Guide's cult shows list and was included in Time's list of the 100 best TV shows of all time. In 2008 the show was placed in first on Entertainment Weekly's top 100 shows of the past 25 years. Empire named it the greatest TV show of all time. In 2010, Entertainment Weekly named Homer the greatest character of the last 20 years, while in 2013 the Writers Guild of America listed The Simpsons as the 11th best written series in television history. In 2013, TV Guide ranked The Simpsons as the greatest TV cartoon of all time and the 10th greatest show of all time. A 2015 The Hollywood Reporter survey of 2,800 actors, producers, directors, and other industry people named it as their number 10 favorite show. In 2015, British newspaper The Telegraph named The Simpsons as one of the 10 best TV sitcoms of all time. Television critics Alan Sepinwall and Matt Zoller Seitz ranked The Simpsons as the greatest American TV series of all time in their 2016 book TV, The Book. Criticism. Controversy. Bart's rebellious, bad boy nature, which underlies his misbehavior and rarely leads to any punishment, led some people to characterize him as a poor role model for children. In schools, educators claim that Bart was a threat to learning because of his underachiever and proud of it attitude and negative attitude regarding his education. Others described him as egotistical, aggressive and mean-spirited. In a 1991 interview, Bill Cosby described Bart as a bad role model for children, calling him angry, confused, frustrated. In response, Matt Groening said, "That sums up Bart, all right. Most people are in a struggle to be normal, and he thinks normal is very boring, and does things that others just wish they dare do." On January 27, 1992, then President George H.W. Bush said, "We are going to keep on trying to strengthen the American family, to make American families a lot more like the Waltons and a lot less like The Simpsons." The writers rushed out a tongue-in-cheek reply in the form of a short segment which aired 3 days later before a rerun of Stark Raving Dead, in which Bart replied, "Hey, we're just like the Waltons. We're praying for an end to the Depression, too." Various episodes of the show have generated controversy. The Simpsons Visit Australia in Bart vs. Australia, Season 6, 1995, and Brazil in Blame It on Lisa, Season 13, 2002. and both episodes generated controversy and negative reaction in the visited countries. In the latter case, Rio de Janeiro's tourist board, which claimed that the city was portrayed as having rampant street crime, kidnappings, slums, and monkey and rat infestations, went so far as to threaten Fox with legal action. Groening was a fierce and vocal critic of the episode A Star is Burns, Season 6, 1995, which featured a crossover with The Critic. He felt that it was just an advertisement for The Critic, and that people would incorrectly associate the show with him. When he was unsuccessful in getting the episode pulled, he had his name removed from the credits and went public with his concerns, openly criticizing James L. Brooks and saying the episode violates the Simpsons universe. In response, Brooks said, "I am furious with Matt, he's allowed his opinion, but airing this publicly in the press is going too far, his behavior right now is rotten." The Principal and the Pauper, Season 9, 1997, is one of the most controversial episodes of The Simpsons. Many fans and critics reacted negatively to the revelation that Seymour Skinner, a recurring character since the first season, was an imposter. The episode has been criticized by Groening and by Harry Shearer, who provides the voice of Skinner. In a 2001 interview, Shearer recalled that after reading the script, he told the writers, "That's so wrong. You're taking something that an audience has built 8 years or 9 years of investment in and just tossed it in the trash can for no good reason, for a story we've done before with other characters. It's so arbitrary and gratuitous, and it's disrespectful to the audience." Ban. The show has reportedly been taken off the air in several countries. China banned it from primetime television in August 2006, in an effort to protect China's struggling animation studios. In 2008, Venezuela barred the show from airing on morning television as it was deemed unsuitable for children. The same year, several Russian Pentecostal churches demanded that The Simpsons, South Park and some other Western cartoons be removed from broadcast schedules for propaganda of various vices and the broadcaster's license to be revoked. However, the court decision later dismissed this request. Declining quality. Critics' reviews of early Simpsons episodes praised the show for its sassy humor, wit, realism, and intelligence. However, in the late 1990s, around the airing of Season 10, the tone and emphasis of the show began to change. Some critics started calling the show tired. By 2000, some long-term fans had become disillusioned with the show, and pointed to its shift from character-driven plots to what they perceived as an overemphasis on zany antics. Jim Shimbry of the Sydney Morning Herald attributed the decline in quality to an abandonment of character-driven storylines in favor of and overuse of celebrity cameo appearances and references to popular culture. Shimbry wrote, "The central tragedy of The Simpsons is that it has gone from commanding attention to merely being attention-seeking. It began by proving that cartoon characters don't have to be caricatures, they can be invested with real emotions. Now the show has in essence fermented into a limp parody of itself. Memorable story arcs have been sacrificed for the sake of celebrity walk-ons and punchline-hungry dialogue." In 2010, the BBC noted the common consensus is that The Simpsons' golden era ended after Season 9, and Todd Leopold of CNN, in an article looking at its perceived decline, stated for many fans, "The glory days are long past." Similarly, Tyler Wilson of Coeur d'Alene Press has referred to Seasons 1 to 9 as the show's golden age, and Ian Nathan of Empire described the show's classic era as being, say, the first 10 seasons. John Heekek of Lucid Works stated that for the first 10 seasons, the show was consistently at the top of its game, with so many moments, quotations, and references, both epic and obscure, that helped turn the Simpson family into the cultural icons that they remain to this day. Mike Scully, who was showrunner during Seasons 9 through 12, has been the subject of criticism. Chris Suellentrop of Slate wrote that under Scully's tenure, The Simpsons became, well, a cartoon. Episodes that once would have ended with Homer and Marge bicycling into the sunset now end with Homer blowing a tranquilizer dart into Marge's neck. The show's still funny, but it hasn't been touching in years. When asked in 2007 how the series' longevity is sustained, Scully joked, "Lower your quality standards. Once you've done that, you can go on forever. Al Jean, showrunner since season 13, has also been the subject of criticism, with some arguing that the show has continued to decline in quality under his tenure. Former writers have complained that under Jean, the show is on autopilot, too sentimental, and the episodes are just being cranked out. Some critics believe that the show has entered a steady decline under Jean and is no longer really funny. John Ortved, author of The Simpsons, An Uncensored, Unauthorized History, characterized the Jean era as toothless, and criticized what he perceived as the show's increase in social and political commentary. Jean responded, "Well, it's possible that we've declined. But honestly, I've been here the whole time, and I do remember in season 2 people saying, it's gone downhill. If we'd listened to that, then we would have stopped after episode 13. I'm glad we didn't." In 2004, Harry Shearer criticized what he perceived as the show's declining quality. "I rate the last 3 seasons as among the worst, so season 4 looks very good to me now." Dan Castellaneta responded, "I don't agree. I think Harry's issue is that the show isn't as grounded as it was in the first 3 or 4 seasons, that it's gotten crazy or a little more madcap. I think it organically changes to stay fresh." Also in 2004, author Douglas Coupland described claims of declining quality in the series as hogwash, saying The Simpsons hasn't fumbled the ball in 14 years, it's hardly likely to fumble it now. In an April 2006 interview, Groening said, "I honestly don't see any end in sight. I think it's possible that the show will become too financially cumbersome, but right now, the show is creatively, I think, as good or better than it's ever been. The animation is incredibly detailed and imaginative, and the stories do things that we haven't done before. So creatively, there's no reason to quit." In 2016, popular cultural writer Anna Lesgwich suggested that even though The Simpsons still holds cultural relevance, contemporary appeal is only for the first 10 seasons, with recent episodes only garnering mainstream attention when a favorite character from the golden era is killed off, or when new information and shock twists are given for old characters. The series ratings have also declined. While the first season enjoyed an average of 13.4 million viewing households per episode in the US, the 21st season had an average of 7.2 million viewers. Alan Sepinwall and Matt Zoller Seitz argued in their 2016 book titled TV, the Book, that the peak of The Simpsons are roughly seasons 3 through 12, and that despite the decline, episodes from the later seasons such as Eternal Moonshine of the Simpson Mind and Holidays of Future Past could be considered on par with the earlier classic episodes, further stating that even if you want to call the show today a thin shadow of its former self, think about how mind-bogglingly great its former self had to be for so diminished a version to be watchable at all. Apu controversy. The stereotypical nature of the character Apu Nasapi has long been the subject of controversy. This was particularly highlighted by Indian-American comedian Hari Kondabolu's 2017 documentary The Problem with Apu. In the film, Kondabolu states that as a child he was a fan of The Simpsons and liked Apu, but he now finds the character's stereotypical nature troublesome. Defenders of the character responded that the show is built on comical stereotypes, with creator Matt Groening saying, "That's the nature of cartooning." He added that he was proud of what we do on the show, and it's a time in our culture where people love to pretend they're offended. In response to the controversy, Apu's voice actor, Hank Azaria, said he was willing to step aside from his role as Apu. "The most important thing is to listen to South Asian people, Indian people in this country when they talk about what they feel and how they think about this character." The criticisms were referenced in the season 29 episode No Good Read Goes Unpunished, when Lisa breaks the fourth wall and addresses the audience by saying, "Something that started decades ago and was applauded and inoffensive is now politically incorrect. What can you do?" To which Marge replies, "Some things will be addressed at a later date." Lisa adds, "If at all." This reference was clarified by the fact that there was a framed photo of Apu with a caption on the photo saying "Don't have a cow, Apu," a play on Bart's catchphrase "Don't have a cow, man," as well as the fact that Hindus do not eat cows as they are considered sacred. In October 2018, It was reported that Apu would be written out of the show, however that report was later debunked by the producers. The media. Comic books. Numerous Simpson-related comic books have been released over the years. So far, 9 comic book series have been published by Bongo Comics since 1993. The first comic strips based on The Simpsons app,